I really like the direction of this show, where it's heading. The world building, to the characterization, to the just interactions with the characters and all of that. It's just a very fascinating show. Kokkoku is easily one of my favorites from this season. Just, it really feels like one of those shows that just came under the radar and is like a sleeper hit. It feels like it's the dark horse of Winter of Anime 2018, because this episode was fantastic. I mean, we even had a really good action scene, and I didn't really expect much action from this show, which that's surprising. So, let's get right into it. Let's talk about, the information we learned towards the end of the episode. Apparently the girl that's been watching Juri and all that, and obviously has some form of connection to her, which we do know now that it is officially confirmed that somehow that woman was in stasis at the same time when Juri and the grandpa was in stasis, and basically somehow she was able to get out. We don't know exactly how she got out, but they're connected, we don't know, and she knows a lot more information, and apparently at one point in her time, one of her family members became a herald. She got to see one of her family members turn into a herald right before her eyes. So, there's a lot of questions, but let's talk about the herald for a second. So, the herald, as we know, is this mysterious, like, creature, this mythological Lovecraftian beast that, you know, keeps the stalled safe. Anyone that tries to, you know, harm the stalled, this creature comes in, stops him, attacks them because of their brainwaves, even before they cause any bodily harm. Now, the question many of us have had is, if all the heralds are gone, or if that herald's gone, does that mean that, you know, everybody else can do whatever they want? For instance, the stall can now get hurt. That is a big question. And now seeing this episode, it is implied that maybe there is more than one, but maybe only one can be activated at a time. That could be a big thing there. But we also need to think about what she said. For someone to become the herald, they need to give up their body to the Spectre. And the Spectre, FYI, would be the jellyfish within them. So that would mean that the person would have to say, I don't want my body anymore, you can have it, and then the herald would come into being and basically keep the entire stasis world safe. So, I'm going to assume, I'm taking an educated guess and assuming that what was going on with the older brother, like in the other episode, like last episode or whatever, when you saw those tentacles coming out of his back and stuff, I want to assume that that is the Spectre taking over his body, because in that moment, it looked like he, you know, was just doubting himself, like, you know, everything about himself, and it looked like he probably didn't even care anymore, and so maybe he doesn't necessarily need to say he wants to give up his body, but maybe because of his thought process and whatever he thinks, maybe the Spectre will take over his body, because as we know, the heralds are obviously connected to brainwaves. If you have any, like, malicious thoughts towards an individual, the herald will come out of nowhere and stop you. You don't even have to harm someone. It's just if you have thoughts to harm someone, herald will come out of nowhere, squish your head like a melon. And that could be related also to how someone becomes a herald. If you have, like, a certain brain waves and all that make it to where you don't care anymore, you don't want your body or whatever, similar to someone like, you know, the brother character, now obviously the way he lives his life and how he acts, he doesn't really care much about himself or care about his future. Maybe that's perfect, you know, actual resources for a herald to be made. Most likely. Now, the big question is, though, is that the girl that apparently knows about this, she is connected to Juri, and apparently this person that she saw, it wasn't the person she thought it was. So, very curious about that. And also, I'm kind of curious if, you know, we're going to probably see, instead of the old man becoming a herald, what if the brother does? That'd be pretty crazy. That would legit be crazy. Anyways, let's talk about other stuff going on, like the action scene and what Juri and the old man was doing. So, I really like finally how the two characters, the old man and Juri, and he finally decided to just say, you know what, let's stop running away, let's face these thugs and all that, let's take them down. That was a really good moment, because I'm like, look, you guys got the power of teleportation, and you got the power to knock them out of stasis, okay, and turn them into the stalled. You have some OP powers to just do that. Now, there most likely is going to be some form of limitations, because there's so many rules and weird things when it comes to this world, that I could possibly assume that their abilities to being able to knock someone out of stasis, or, teleporting is going to have a limit one time or the other. It's going to eventually have a limit. But for now, though, their abilities are pretty strong. And so them taking the fight to the enemy makes perfect sense. And I really love that scene to where Juri just got really angry. Like, she got really angry when they were just, like, saying mean things about her and basically even putting down her freaking oppa. So I'm like, yo! Like, what? Like, yo, what? I'm like, that is some crazy stuff. And so she got angry and just wrecked all of them. I'm like, yes, I love this. And, quickly, more and more, I'm loving Juri. I'm really loving her character. I don't think she is best girl of Winter of Anime 2018, because that belongs to 02 from Darling in the Franxx, but I love Juri. She's definitely number 2. She's in the second spot. I love her character, I love her design, I love her smug faces. She's a really great character, and so easily one of my favorites, in top 3 of Winter of Anime 2018. I just like her design overall. But anyways, let's talk about what happened to the grandpa. So the grandpa, at one point in time, a long time ago, there was an incident with Juri where her dog died. And as we all know, eventually all life must come to an end. And thanks to her being a little girl, she didn't want to let go of the dog because the dog was about to come to an end and die. And so the grandpa decides to take Juri and him into stasis. And that would mean that the dog technically was still alive, even though the dog couldn't move and it was still alive. It just couldn't move because it was one of the stall. But it made it to where Juri was able to probably have final moments with the dog before it was eventually gone. The grandpa did that kind of out of pity and just to help out his granddaughter overall. But because of that event and the way she acted, he felt like it was not good for him to probably teach her how to use the stone and all that, because she probably would misuse it, similar to what was going on with the dog in that moment. Now, this also brings up a lot of questions, too. Apparently, at that time, Juri actually had the capabilities of knocking people out of stasis already at that time. So it wasn't the new jellyfish that came in her, it was just like, it was already a part of her. And it's different from the grandpa. And when, she actually hit the grandpa, on accident, she wasn't really trying to do anything malicious. She just did it because she just wanted to be left alone. The grandpa almost left stasis. You saw how there was a quick image and all that, or scene, to where it had it to where Juri was running real quickly, like she was zooming real quick, but he was very slow. He can barely move and all that, which was basically him going into a stalled state, similar to what we've seen a couple of characters already. But thanks to him being able to have Aegis and all that, he actually kept the jellyfish within him. So that's cool. I like that. I really like how that was done. And Aegis is actually a mythological shield, so I'm going to assume it has a lot more meaning than, just the name alone and what he did. Probably has some more weight to it. But, managed to keep the jellyfish inside. So this does let us know that there is some individuals that can, hold back Juri's ability. For instance, stop her ability from knocking them out of stasis. So there could potentially be others a part of this world that have abilities that can combat what Juri is capable of, and maybe even bring people into the world of the stalled, or the world of stasis. My bad, bring them into that. So that would be, pretty cool if that was the thing. I could most likely see maybe the girl that has a connection to Juri probably having an ability like that, because there has to be a reason how she was able to escape stasis, because it's already been stated many times already in the series that the only way to escape stasis is through the stone. If you're not all near the main master stone and you don't leave together, you're going to be stuck in stasis. So that's the big point. If you're stuck in stasis, you're going to be stuck in that time point for the rest of your life. You're never going to be able to leave. So that would mean that you're trapped for all of eternity. And if you even move 1 second into the future, anyone left behind that 1 second or whatever, it's over. They're gone. Then you're never going to get back to them. So I find that cool. I do find that cool how that's been done, but I do believe that there's definitely something else going on. Maybe there's another way to leave the stasis world because of however that woman left it, besides, using the Master Stone. Because you would assume the grandpa, he would remember something like that. He would definitely remember if, someone came back through the Master Stone with him and his granddaughter. So just like, she obviously had a different way to leave. Now, anyways, besides all that, it looks like finally, after all of this time, Juri and the grandpa has found out that her brother, and also, the little nephew, he is actually unstalled now and wandering around, and they're trying to figure out where they're going and all that. So I'm glad that plot point was finally settled. And then moving on to another plot point, we have the head of the house, the father of Juri, and the brother. He is trying to be manipulated into being work for the bad guys. So I'm kind of curious where that's going to go. And if I had to assume anything, he's probably going to turn into someone that's going to do things that are probably not for good intentions. Like, maybe he has good intentions, but maybe he does things that, shows that he's no longer on her side because he's been misled down the improper path. I can definitely see that. Another thing, too, we also have a cute little scene with the nephew. The nephew actually picks up the cans that were floating in the air, which is a little quick part, but I thought it was very cute and adorable, how his mother was, like, you know, letting go of cans. A bunch of cans were falling, and he grabs the cans and he puts them back on the shelf. I'm like, oh, that's adorable. That's a very sweet thing to do. He's just like, here you go, and all that. I'm just like, that's a sweet kid. That's a legit sweet kid just doing that for his mother. And so, yeah, that's about it when it comes to this episode of Kokkoku. It's a pretty enjoyable series. I think it's definitely one of the best from Winter of Anime, and I think Minnie can agree with me with that. It's just so fun to watch. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, be safe, please stay healthy, Chibi out.